You have Jesus, the apostles, you have Pentecost, you have the churches being founded, you got the letters and the books coming out, you've got the students of the apostles saying this was the stuff that we considered authoritative. And then we got to get the idea, when did the Gnostic Gospels come out? These lost Christianities that there is such a big to-do about.
Well, they start to emerge in the latter part of the first century, the early part of the second century. What really marks a work as Gnostic is a kind of story of creation that's different than what we get out of the Old Testament and different out of what Christianity would have inherited from Judaism. And that story basically is that the world is a dualistic world. There's matter, which is evil. There's the idea of the spirit world, which is good. And because God can't be associated with anything that's evil, God isn't directly responsible for that creation. There are emanations from the true God who tried to create after His likeness and botched the job. So the creation is a fallen creation from the beginning. Contrast that with the Jewish belief reflected in Genesis 1, but in several other passages of the Old Testament as well, that when God created, it was good. It was good at the beginning, and the fall is a product of something subsequent to the creation. So immediately you would be running into this problem. Well,
you've got material that the core beliefs of this material would be rejected by anybody that was a Christian that held to this other material.
And what's as important as that idea is the idea that the material that the Christians are holding to as orthodoxy about creation reflected the Judaism out of which Christianity sprung. Whereas this Gnostic teaching about creation doesn't have roots that go back into that kind of teaching. It has Jewish ideas, it has Jewish characters, but it doesn't have this Jewish belief that the creation at the start was good. And so that would immediately send a signal to someone hearing this. This is different.
When did this material come out, the Gnostic material?
The Gnostic material as a coherent system appears to have emerged in the early part of the second century.
Okay, so that's a long way from the material coming out about Jesus that the Christian church has.
That's exactly right.
So you have this image of Christ as creator that's already embedded in these earliest Christian hymns. The Gnostic stuff cannot compete with that. And the way they try to compete with it is really they have two methods. First, they attach the name of an apostle or an important figure like Mary or Philip or Thomas or Judas or someone like that. But Judas, they put a spin on it to make it work because he was not respected by others. For good reason, too. But the other thing they do is their Gospels are essentially non-narrative, and this picks up on this whole dualism of matter being evil and spirit being good. By having a non-narrative Gospel, now you have something that doesn't really relate to the world, and it cannot be historically verified. And that, I think, is a crucial difference between what you have in the Gnostic materials and what you have in the New Testament Gospels. The New Testament subjects itself to historical investigation and is therefore vulnerable to history, while as Gnosticism is not.